Hello guys, today I have a guest and her name is Anastasia. She does costumes for the film industry, so she will tell us today a lot about it. She will tell us lots of secrets. So Anastasia, please tell us about yourself a little bit. What do you do for a living and how did you get into this industry?
Yes, hi, so I'm Anastasia. I've been working in wardrobe and costume design for over 10 years now, really. I started doing photography, like editorials with my friend, and just dressing up. And then, I saw she was getting jobs and working with agency models, so I thought that I would too, but with wardrobe. And then when I came back to Chicago after I grew up basically in a lot of different places in Russia, France, Spain, Holland, and here, and I've been here 2 years. The reason I stayed is once I was finishing university, I got a feature film gig where I was doing wardrobe, and ever since then, it kind of I was finding more things to do. So that's how I am here.
Mm-hmm. And tell us, how did you get into a film industry? Like, how did you get exactly on set? I know that you were on set and you were dressing up different actors, actresses. So how did you get in there?
Yeah, well, actually, I guess you could say I really started out doing acting, so on screen. I remember I was working on a production with some students, I don't remember from where, maybe UIC. And I was also doing my own wardrobe, and they were like, oh, like everyone in the class commented on how cool the costumes were, like you should do more of that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I think I found it on Craigslist or something. So
wow.
Yeah, and so ever since then, I mean,
guys, basically you can start your career from Craigslist.
Yeah, you really can, and I've always studied like acting and dancing and theater and all that stuff, so I always kind of, that stuff was around me, so I just try to pursue it from like where I could at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell us about film. When you start shooting a film, do you do your own design or somebody tells you what costumes the actresses and actors have to wear? Do you have to coordinate with the director or some other people?
Yeah, actually, every set really is different, but from what I've experienced, you're usually working either closely with the director or the writer. In scripts, they'll sometimes have specific costumes already there, so that kind of gives you already a hint of what the character is going to be wearing. Also, I mean, that's your job as a costume designer, is when you're reading the script, what does this character look like in your head. A lot of times though, either the director or writer will have ideas for colors, and also just something that you learn as you're on the job. There's certain like patterns that don't work on screen, so that's something to be aware of. But yeah, sometimes the director will want certain characters in certain colors or things like that. It's rare that I've just been given like free reign to do whatever I want, but honestly, I think there's like a trust when the director or writer, whatever, hires you. So they'll tell you things, and then you can kind of go off, and based on those little guidelines, there is that trust there. So that's cool. And the more trust and the more freedom that there is, the more fun my job is, because I know what I'm doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about the cost approximately for the lead actor. How much they are ready to spend on one costume?
Yeah.
Or maybe several costumes.
Yeah, so the bigger the budget, also the more fun it is. It depends on the production, like with other stuff. I've worked with a lot of like super low budget, which will usually require me going to like a thrift store, or using a lot of my own stuff, my own closet. But yeah, the bigger the budget, then you can really have fun and like go shopping, and it doesn't have to be at the thrift store. You can find, you know, it's a little bit more glamorous. That's really the only like glamorous part of the job. So yeah, it just depends on what the production is ready to spend. It's always going to look better when the production has a bigger budget, I think. A lot of times people think that costumes are maybe not that important, but they're literally like on screen. So the better that looks, the better overall, and it's just gonna look like a higher production value. So it is very important.
And for example, like if the movie has, let's say, middle range budget, not like huge budget, yeah, we're not talking about millions. Do you guys rent costumes, or you just make them by yourself, like somebody sew it, or you tailor it, like how does it work?
Yeah, I know that say you're doing a period piece where, you know, maybe like it's set in the 1920s or 1940s, basically not modern, not contemporary. I know that, you know, there's, for example, Columbia has a costume, I think, little warehouse type situation, and you can rent from them, as well as like vintage stores, because they are the ones who would have costumes that would fit into that era. I know they do rentals, or like for a fraction of the price. I'm lucky because I do work at a vintage store, Pilson Vintage in Pilsen, and yeah, so we have a lot of stuff there, which I'm so grateful that I'm able to use. So yeah, it's kind of like you kind of have to become resourceful and creative, and, you know, think where can I find, like, you know, a wedding gown from like the 1920s, and yeah, that's when the research and the fun
Where would
stuff.
you find that one?
Well, I would start at my store, but yeah, generally I would go to like a vintage store and see what they have, and maybe like talk to them. Maybe if they don't have it on the floor, they might have it, you know, in their basement or back room or something, or even online. Etsy is a great resource for stuff like that if you have a little bit of time.
Okay, and what about like if you tailor costumes for the actors? Can they take those costumes home, or they have to give it back to you?
It depends. Sometimes I have had actors that really liked their pieces, their costumes, and I will just check in with the production and make sure that they can take it, because sometimes the production does want to keep costumes in case, you know, they have to do reshoots or something like that. But anytime that I think back that an actor has wanted to keep it, we've let them keep it. So that's always cool when you can do that, because, you know, they liked it, and then, you know, they can keep it ever as a memory. Yeah.
Okay, and what about if the costume is damaged on set? What do you do, guys? Like, do you stitch, or you just have some extra costumes for this case?
Yeah, it depends on the costume, because some actually pieces are meant to get damaged on screen.
Yeah, like fighting scenes?
Yeah, fighting scenes, gunshots, whatever. Actually, the first feature that I worked on, there was a lot of that, so that was really tough. I had to learn a lot of things really quickly. So yeah, in that case, I will have extras. Otherwise, I'm just kind of ready with like my arsenal of little tools. I have like a little sewing kit. I have stain removers. I have like lint rollers, things like that, tape. You really have to get into like hardware stuff too, because it's all about construction. Not all about construction, but it can be about construction. So you really have to be ready for anything. Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, no, and it does, and it will. Yeah, I was gonna say that a lot of times the answers to these questions, you can't really find them on Google or anywhere, because people just don't write about it. So it's a lot of it is just learning as you go and like finding out on the job. But that's really, it's fun though, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was preparing for this interview, I was trying to search some information. I didn't find lots of answers.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like this world that, like, you know, obviously we all watch movies, we all watch TV shows, but like, unless you're in it, I feel like there's really just not that much information.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny, but yeah.
this information is hidden because people make lots of money.
Yes, hopefully one day.
If I'm independent designer and I didn't study in university and I don't know how all the actors have to be dressed on set, can I still be the person responsible for the costumes in a movie on set, or I have to go to the university and I have to get a degree in this field?
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. Everything that I learned about being a costume designer on set, I learned being on set and finding my own ways. I didn't study this. I went to school for communication and media, so a lot of my classes were film classes, but it was like theory and all that kind of stuff. So actually being on set and stuff, that was things that I sought out on my own, so I don't think you need to. It might help. There's really not one single way to do it. Whatever you can do, if that's what you want to do, I think you should follow that, whatever opportunity you have. If you do have the opportunity to go study at a school, I wish probably that I did. But yeah, you definitely don't have to. And I think that's what's really cool about it, is like, if you're passionate about it, and then that's just what's gonna work for you, because that's what you're gonna want to do, and then sooner or later, you know, you're gonna be where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe you wanted to reveal some more information which I didn't ask. Maybe you want to share some stuff or some awkward moments which happened on set. I'm sure there were a lot of them, but maybe you want to share some.
I mean, yeah, there's awkward moments. Because, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes things will get tense. You know, you're on a schedule, you're tired, you're probably waking up at weird random hours for days on end, and you're all just trying to get this project done. I think the most important thing to remember is just to be kind and, you know, just, yeah, appreciate and have fun, because on set, that's like what's really going to get you through the day. Is just, yeah, being nice to each other, because it can get really tense at the end, and you know, things are flying, words are flying, but it's important to keep your composure and yeah, just remember why you're there.
Mm-hmm. And what are your working hours?
Anytime. Honestly, like, yeah, it just depends, especially like being on set. Sometimes, you know, you're waking up at 3, 4 in the morning, or you have to be on set at like 9 p.m. for an overnight. So my hours of sleeping, eating, fun, whatever work are all over the place, but that's what I like. I would have trouble being on like a 9 to 5 schedule. It makes me a little crazy, so I like the
yeah, you're getting used to it.
Yeah, no, that's just like natural for me. It keeps things like interesting and moving, so I love it. I love the chaos.
Mm-hmm. Did you have the situation that you couldn't fix the costume, and it was, for example, was torn apart and you couldn't fix it? Did it happen to you?
Personally, no, not to me. For scenes like that where things were torn apart, thankfully I've always had extras. And the thing about movies, I'm sure there's been some moments where like something was off with the costume and I had to figure out right then and there how to make it look okay for the camera. But like I said, that's the cool thing. It's movie magic, you know, so you just have to make it look a certain way at this certain angle, you know, for this certain scene, like. And who knows, you know, the audience doesn't know, but, you know, everyone behind the camera knows that, oh my God, this entire half of the shirt is missing, but it's fine because only this one's showing up on camera. So you just have to get creative at the end of the day if something does go wrong, and that's the fun part.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Anastasia, for this interview, and thank you for revealing us some secrets. It was nice to know that stuff, and I just wish you good luck in this career, and I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, and I wanted to tell you guys about the shop where I work at, which is called Pilson Vintage and Thrift. It's in the Pilson neighborhood on 18th Street. And we have lots of vintage clothing as well as some contemporary stuff from antique stuff, really, for men, women, children, really cute stuff. We also have records and electronic stuff, and we do lots of events all the time. Like right now we were just doing the Pilson Open Studios, so we were showcasing some art from 3 local artists.
Wow.
So it's a really cool neighborhood spot, yeah, and it's been around for 10 years. The owner is a gentleman from Belize and one of the kindest people that I know. I'm very grateful to him and all the opportunities that I've had from working at Pilson Vintage. So please come and check it out. Tell us you heard about the shop from this video. We'll give you a discount. And yeah, so come on by, check it out. We'd love to see you.
Okay, thank you. And guys, if you like our video, just give us some likes, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the bell. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.